Good evening from the Channel studio in London for your international news around the world in 5. Claudia Sheinbaum has been elected as Mexico's first woman president in an historic landslide win. According to Mexico's official electoral authority, preliminary results showed the 61-year-old former mayor of Mexico City winning between 58 and 60% of the vote in Sunday's election. That gives her a lead of almost 30 percentage points over her main rival, businesswoman Xochitl Gálvez. The election campaign was marked by unprecedented levels of violence, often carried out by organized crime gangs. Sheinbaum, a former energy scientist who had the support of the outgoing president, has promised to reduce the violence and improve the lives of women in a country with one of the world's highest rates of femicide. After suffering a stunning blow in last week's election, South Africa's ruling African National Congress has begun closed-door negotiations with its political opponents about forming a coalition government. On Sunday, the Electoral Commission announced that elections in South Africa were free and fair, but with no single party gaining an outright majority. The final election results confirmed the ANC's decline in support to just more than 40% of the vote, far less than the absolute majority it had for the past 30 years after ending white minority rule. President Cyril Ramaphosa still described the result as a victory for democracy, calling on rival parties to find common ground.
We are all called upon to recognize that the results of the election in the end reflect the will of the people. What this election has made plain is that the people of South Africa expect their leaders to work together to meet their needs.
More than 50 people have died in India over the past 3 days as a brutal heat wave continues to grip parts of the country. Around 33 people died in the northern state of Uttar Pradesh over the weekend due to the heat. In Orissa state, about 20 people died, according to reports. Many of these deaths were reported on the 1st of June as India voted in the last phase of polling for its general election. The heat in northern and central India and parts of the west has been unrelenting for the past 2 weeks, with maximum temperatures hovering around 45 to 46 degrees Celsius for days and even climbing up to 50 degrees Celsius in some parts. The Israeli military has continued to launch more airstrikes across the Gaza Strip as officials discuss the latest proposed deal to end hostilities and exchange prisoners. In the south, Israeli air raids were reported overnight on Sunday in multiple areas in Rafah, which is under an expanding ground invasion, as well as Khan Yunis. At least 12 people were killed in the overnight attacks on the two cities. The three-part deal unveiled by the U.S. President Joe Biden last week would see a surge of humanitarian aid as well as an exchange of some hostages for Palestinian prisoners before a permanent end to the war. However, the proposal has encountered vocal opposition from some members of Israel's government. And South Korea is set to suspend a 2018 military agreement with its neighbor after a North Korean campaign that saw balloons carrying trash sent over the border. The National Security Council of South Korea says it would present a plan to fully suspend the deal for approval to the cabinet at a meeting on Tuesday. North Korea said it sent the balloons filled with trash and manure in response to what it called a propaganda campaign by defectors based in the South and called the action an effective countermeasure. Suspending the agreement will pave the way for the South to conduct training near the military border. And finally, a U.S. couple have pulled a safe from a lake with an estimated $100,000 locked inside. James Kane and Barbie Agostini came across the safe in New York while magnet fishing, a hobby which involves searching for metals. Once they realized what they stumbled upon, they did some research and decided to call the New York Police Department to make sure there were no legality issues. A lot of the money is water damaged, but but some can be salvaged, and with no way of finding the owner, the couple are able to keep their lucky find. And that's your international news around the world in 5.